Welcome to World Travel Made Easy with Itinerary Boss, the podcast for busy professionals who want to plan unforgettable trips without the stress. If you're craving adventure, relaxation, or cultural immersion, but feel overwhelmed where to start, this is the show for you. Each week, we dive into travel tips, expert strategies, and actionable advice to help you save time, money, and hassle while helping you design your dream trip. From group getaways to romantic escapes to adventure packed journeys and budget friendly tips, we cover it all. I'm Ross, your host and travel enthusiast, with over a decade of experience balancing a demanding career while also planning trips to over 25 cities in Europe, all over the US, Central America, the Caribbean, and beyond. I've mastered the art of stress free planning, and I'm here to help you do the same. If you love what you hear, don't forget to follow the show, leave us a review, as well as share it with a fellow traveler. I want to make your next adventure the easiest and most memorable yet. Now, on with the show. Welcome back to another episode of World Travel Made Easy with Itinerary Boss. For this week, I'm really excited to have on an expert in elite travel secrets, Coach Chris Klesch. Hey, Chris, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Great to be here with you, Ross.
Yeah, I'm very excited to have you. And I know when we got the chance to meet and speak, I learned a ton from you. So, like you say, I'm really excited to give our audience just actionable tips that they can go ahead and use right now. But don't want to sell you short. Would love just to learn a little bit more about you, your background, and how did you get into being a luxury travel guru?
Well, I'd always loved travel. I was fortunate. I had parents that took me to Europe when I was 12 years old for 6 weeks. Saw like 8 or 9 countries, first class. I still remember. It's all about memories and experiences. And I still remember having dinner at 12 years old on that first level of the Eiffel Tower and going to see in Switzerland, London, Venice, all the travel spots. And my parents at that time, I mean, I'm going back a long time. I'm 76 now. They hired an American Express guide in every city. At that time, it was available. And I just had it, just the love of travel, seeing different cultures, different places, different memories and experiences. And I've always been an athlete, played college football and travel playing golf tournaments, etc., seeing the United States and I have a degree, my undergraduate degrees in music. I was a music prodigy conductor, and I got to travel doing that, uh, concerts, etc. And then when I retired from the Bell system at age 52, I had a whole life ahead of me, and I wanted to see the world, and I wanted to figure out how to do it affordably. So it became a sort of a mission, a hobby.
That's awesome. That's you have a well life lived and you've traveled for a good bit and like just getting started out when you were younger and going to have, like you had said, dinner at the bottom of the Eiffel Tower, getting to see 8 to 9 countries. Like from the start, you've gotten to do a lot of that and you've gotten to do it in a diverse way of not just, going to different places, just leisurely, right? As a musician, golf. I feel like that's a great way to get guys together and do. I know we'll get into one of the things that we share a common interest in is skiing, snowboarding, doing those and giving
Exactly.
actionable tips, which I'm excited to
Yeah,
share.
and
Yeah.
I've been trained as a professional speaker. I'm a member of the National Speakers Association. I speak in sound bites, and I think it's important. I think our audience already knows this. We travel not to escape life, but for life not to escape us. All the memories and the culture and the experiences, etc. And I always tell people in my talks, there's really three aspects of travel. Number one is planning a trip, a bucket list trip, the go into it, looking forward to something. It keeps people working, that are working jobs. I'm looking forward to that reunion, that safari trip, that cruise, that golf trip, that Broadway trip, that ski trip. The euphoria you get after you plan the trip, looking forward to something. And obviously, after the trip, you have the beautiful memories and experiences. And number three, that builds your legacy. You look at your iPhone like I did during COVID, and thank God I had these experiences of travel and leisure, which opened up a lot of doors.
Yeah, well said. No, I think it's always like for us, I know we talked about this, but looking forward to those annual ski trips. Getting people back together as you get older, a lot of times, with work, with life, with kids, with just other things that come up, like that's something that you can keep going if you have, for whether it's with your family, whether it's with your significant other, friends, if you have that, once a year trip, or just like that's something that you bond over if you don't live in the same area. Those are memories that you can't take back. And once you do it once, then everyone's like, okay, when do we do? If you, like you said, step one, if you plan it right, then everyone gets excited for it, and it just makes it less stressful for you, for other people, and that's very key for a lot of these different trips.
Yeah, like I say again, another one of my sound bites, dream for a moment, but remember for a lifetime. After all, the best things in life aren't the material things. Hell, this is, I don't know if you'd see it, it's Costco watch, no Rolex. The best things in life, I think we all agree, are our health, that's mental, physical health, our family, our friends, and those precious memories and experiences. And we'll all agree that a lot of those memories and experiences do come from travel and leisure.
Yeah, well said. And we're Team Costco here, so I love it. I love I love the watch. But would love to just hear a little bit more, because when we spoke, and just from your website and what you've accomplished, right, in the 25 years you've been a travel coach and in the industry, like what sparked your passion just for traveling in first class, for not the expensive amount, but for pennies on the dollar? And then when did you realize like you could start to teach that to other people?
Yeah, well, it becomes affordable. If me, I'm retiring at 52. I had this yield for love of travel. I want to see the country, go to places I hadn't gone to, go to Wimbledon in person, see, I'm a golfer, see the President's Cup in South Africa. And I'm not a Motel 6 guy. I'm not a Ritz-Carlton guy, but I like going first class. And I've always been a wheeler dealer. How do I beat the system, use the system? Again, another one of my sound bites, you don't have to be rich to live this rich lifestyle. So I tried to immerse myself interviewing as many people as I could, executives in the airline industry, hotel industry, interviewing concierges, reading every travel blog that's out there, and trying to learn the tips. How about doing it? Because, the problem today is, well, everybody wants to travel. But with today's economy, people can't afford it. Airfares have gone up 40%. Hotel rates, it used to be you could fly round trip, this obviously, for 25,000 miles in the US. Now they want 50,000 miles one way. How do we use our points, miles, spending to accumulate the right credit cards, usages, etc., and use insider tips, learn from other people, concierges, the insiders, I say, not the stuff that's in a book, the loopholes, the
Mhm.
insider secrets that people don't know about that could really bring them happiness and, make their dreams come true. It's right on my business card. I'm Coach Chris. We look forward to servicing your dreams. That's what my company does, and I've done for 20 years. I love to help other people, share with them little tricks that I've learned over the past 20 years, and I'm still learning every day.
Yeah, there's new stuff that comes out every day, and that's exactly why I wanted to bring you on the shows, because I learned a bunch from you just in our 30 45-minute conversation. And that's one of my favorite parts about being a host, is I get to bring on different experts from different walks of life with different areas of expertise, with diversity areas of expertise. And that before I want to get into some of the myths that people think about and some of the tips that you're going to share, that golf President's Cup to South Africa, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, I think people, when they get to be a little older, they have a bucket list. And I've been a golfer and Ryder Cup, and I grew up with Bethpage Black, if you know golf course. I've been to the PGA tournament. They're having the Ryder Cup this year, and it's all about these little bucket list trips, things you want to do that are going to be memories for a lifetime, unique. And everybody's different. It might be a cruise, it might be a safari, it might be, an exotic national park, whatever it is. Everybody, so it makes travel so unique.
Mhm.
Everybody has a different dream with their families. They talk about it, the desire. And it can happen affordably. That's the main problem. People can't afford stuff. I won't bore you with my comedy routine, but we're struggling out there. Hell, we got President Trump forced to fly coach now on Air Force One. I mean, Fox News hired a real blonde to save on bleach. People are putting stuff on layaway in the dollar stores, but you can still make it affordable. If you pay attention, you get the right coaching, the right resources. Travel is affordable. There are tricks that enable you, your family, your loved ones to live this dream.
Yeah, perfectly said. And that's one of my goals with this show and bringing on guests like yourselves is how do we make it affordable? How do we make it attainable? And yeah, and it's also just figuring out there's no one size fits all. If you haven't started traveling, it isn't, hey, I got to go do what this person on social media said that costs this. It's no, what do you like to do? If it's that safari, if it's that golf trip, if it's a blend of different things, we like to do a lot of adventurous things, but PGA's championship is here in Charlotte in next week as we're recording this. And we're making sure that we go to that because that's something that my dad likes to do. I like to do. My, brother-in-law likes to do, and we want to create those memories of those types of things. And, me and my wife like to do different adventurous things. Buddies like to do different things. So it's like figuring out exactly what you like and what your travel goals are. And that's and over time, when you start to do it more and more, you start to realize, okay, I may not like to go sit on a beach and stare at the ocean for 7 days. I get really bored. You may like to do other things. So it's just figuring out that and using tips and tricks that people like Chris and myself share. And I want to dive into just a lot of the times there's always objections, there's always excuses. But what do you feel like just the number one myth is that you wish most travelers knew?
I think that they got to plan in advance. Travel's very, as you know, expensive, especially in today's economy. What's going on? I think inflation is not at 5% when it comes to travel. We're talking about 35%. And they have to immerse themselves, do a little homework, studies, shows like yours or different websites, and how they can live this, like I say, luxury lifestyle. The name of my talk is the Luxury Lifestyle Blueprint, Affordable Travel for All. And another soundbite I think we'll use on this topic, I think it's important. They've interviewed many hospice groups, people that obviously are dying of cancer, and they always ask the people, what do they regret in life? And the answers always come out 70 to 80%. They don't regret what they did. They regret what they didn't do, meaning the opportunities for the family reunions, the weddings, the bucket list trips. What I wish I was healthy and I could do that. I can, like myself, I wanted to make sure I was coached by Olympic skiers to do downhill skiing. I wanted to make sure I did the European downhill runs. So you dream for a moment, you remember for a lifetime, and create those memories.
I love that. Yeah, that's there's a book that I'm getting. I mean, we know, just from the industry we're in and talking to people, right? The top five regrets of the dying. And that's a question that when I was early in my 20s, starting out in corporate America, would go to different mentors. A lot of the guys that I worked with had been in the medical device industry for 20, 30 years. They were 50, 60 years old. So I always leaned on them not only for just sales advice, but also just life advice. And it was always travel more. What's your biggest regrets? I wish I traveled more. I wish I spent more time with my family. I wish I invested more, right? I wish I did something for myself and built these opportunities. So I heard that over and over and over again and said, hey, why recreate the wheel? Let's just listen. Let's just listen to what they did and go do that. So no, I couldn't agree more with you there. And just would love to hear because you talk about right making it affordable, making it attainable. When we spoke and from a lot of your content and website, you talk about Red Week and being able to just take 5-star trips. This is something that I learned from you, and it's a great tip and trick, especially for things that we like, skiing. So I would love just to hear a little bit more about what exactly is it and how can the average traveler just leverage it to unlock amazing trips?
Yeah, excellent question, Ross. Yeah, people already know, we all know that the two biggest expenses in travel are airfares in accommodations. And everybody thinks hotels. We've all stayed in all the resorts, hotels all over the world. I tell the people in my talks and my counseling, forget your typical family vacation now. Forget the word hotel. Forget it. Why? Because Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, Westin, Disney, Starwood, Wyndham, even the Ritz-Carlton, they're all beautiful hotels. We've all stayed there, had luxurious times. But they also have timeshare products. They don't call them timeshares anymore because of the bad rap with the salespeople. But they're all vacation clubs. And you can stay now, rent from an owner, not from the developer, not from Marriott, not from Hilton. They charge quadruple. People that own these timeshares or vacation clubs, because maintenance charges have gone up so much, they're offering to try to defray some of these yearly maintenance charges by renting them out to other people. They're getting older, etc. And you could stay in a 1, 2, 3 bedroom unit, washer, dryer, full kitchen, the whole bit, garage. And let's use, we talked about skiing. I know you snowboard. I'm the perfect example. Let's use this example. I'm a ski bum for the last 15 years. And I've had roommates that have been Olympic skiers. And Vail, I like first class. Vail, a hotel room in January, February, and March goes $1,300 to $1,500 a night, plus tax, plus $80 to park your car, right?
Yeah.
And you could get on the internet on the biggest site is redweek.com and pull up, let's say, Vail, or if you want to go to Disney World, Hawaii, Paris, wherever it is, and check out owners renting their time. They can't stay there. They're looking to defray their maintenance. To give you an example, in Vail, where a hotel rate goes for $1,400, you could get on the internet and rent a 1 bedroom unit like I stay for practically 2 months out there. 1 bedroom, 2 full baths, sleeps 6, your own washer, dryer, full kitchen. With a full kitchen, you're going to save a heck of a lot of money. You don't have to dine out every night with your family. You're going to have a clubhouse with an indoor, outdoor pool, sauna, steam room, whirlpool, free transportation, door to door, right from Vail. They pick you up at the door. 5 minutes away, you're at the gondola, ski shuttle transportation. And you're going to pay not $1,300, $1,400 a night, but you're going to pay $300 a night. $300 a night, no tax. And you're going to get all these amenities, free Wi-Fi. And you can do this any resort. So again, whether Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, they all have these vacation clubs. And my advice, when going on a typical family vacation, whether it's Europe, whether it's the Caribbean, whether it's Hawaii, Disney World, even New York, rent from an owner. You're going to get triple the space, triple the amenities for a third the price of a hotel room. And one of the resources is redweek.com. They list by locations, owners. I think it's free to join, where you pay $15 a year. And they have all these locations. Pick where you want to travel to and check them out. Why stay in a hotel room when you could stay in a 2 bedroom unit, bring your friends, family, have reunions, etc., and then get triple, quadruple the resort, amenities you would with a hotel. And the other one is TUG, TUG, Timeshare Users Group.com or .org. I'm sorry, I forget which one it is. And this is where owners, again, list their timeshares they're not using, their vacation clubs, and you, as a vacationer, could rent from an owner. Now, you have to be careful, have a lease, make sure the reservation's legit, do your due diligence so there's no scamming, but you're going to save 80 to 90%. I have a judge. I rent units in Vail. I'm fortunate. And the judge can't, and these are people that are wealthy people that come up there, they rent from me, and they're saving 80%. 80%.
Awesome.
And they're living this lifestyle of luxury, that they didn't even think they could afford. And again, this is an insider tip. Never, ever rent from the corporation, Marriott, Hilton. Always rent from an owner. You're going to get a 70% discount.
I love it. That's and I I was not aware of that prior to us talking. And I mean, just from like a use case perspective, when you said it, the light bulb went off for me. I planned all our group trips, going overseas for in the US, right? All of our annual ski trips, right? We've had group trips where it's usually 5, 6 people, and we've always done Airbnbs because I didn't know about this tip, right? And you pay, I mean, sometimes you'll eat in, but you're also going out. You don't have some of these amenities. And that's just a game changer, especially, now as you maybe do it with a family, if it's just you and your wife, maybe kids, right? Like it's an
Yeah,
ultimate game
it's the
changer.
convenience. It's being
Big-
home, especially if you're staying a week or sometimes 2 weeks like myself. I'm out in Vail and I have roommates. I have
Yeah,
Olympic people come in from Argentina and they run sort of ski schools and people fly in on their private jets. And my roommate's an ex-Olympic skier. We're personal friends. And he defrays my costs. So I'm
yeah,
basically getting, you're laughing, I'm getting $80,000 worth of accommodations for nothing because
that's
he's so
awesome.
happy to be there, have his own kitchen, hook up to the internet, take over, two balconies. What more could you ask for less than Motel 6 prices?
Yeah, that's amazing.
And it's just a different way to thought about it. So I always say, again, I'm going to repeat myself here. Forget the word hotel always. There's time and places for hotels, but the typical 5, 7 day vacations, and a lot of these listings are not for a week. I mean, part of my business plan, I do rent out, some of my inventory for 3, 4 nights. So, and it becomes very affordable.
That's great. No, and that's I think there's so many different strategies, right? Some people don't know about this, so this is going to be very good for them. Some people, a lot of our listeners are interested in something that I specialize in is points and miles, but sometimes you may not have those points and miles to stay at some of these resorts. I know Marriott and Hilton, those are a lot of points and miles at a lot of those places. Hyatt is a little bit better just by transferring those from Ultimate Rewards. But again, if you don't have that stack of points and miles and you want to use those on the flights to get there, this is another good strategy. And if you're worried about if you only like to do points and miles, one tip and trick that you could do too is if you're paying for your flights with points and miles, you then stay at one of the RedWeek properties that saves you, 70, 80%. If you have the co-branded card, you can then use that at the resort, for example, Hyatt, IHG, Marriott, right? If you have one of those co-branded cards and get those additional points, whether that's 9 times on the Hyatt, 26 times on the IHG, right? 14 on one of the Marriotts, like that's another way to maximize those points and miles earnings while you're staying there. So no, I love that. And I know exactly how expensive Vail can get. I know exactly how any of the places in Colorado can get, especially after the over the past 10 years. It just keeps getting more and more and more expensive. So that is a great tip and trick. And I went online after we spoke because I had a buddy who was like, "Hey, I'm looking at going to Aruba, staying in a Marriott through Costco Travel." I had a friend who told me it's like this much all in. And I said, I just went on Red Week and the first property, it was kind of funny, that popped up was that Marriott club in Aruba. And I said, go check this out because this is going to save you, thousands of dollars. And I said, I'm bringing on Coach Chris onto the show who shared this with me. And this is just a great tip and trick that you can use and leverage. So I can
Sure,
say,
because exactly. So, because when you think about your travel budget, you want to go first class. I'm not saying a Ritz-Carlton now. I'm just saying, good quality, safe resort that has a lot of amenities that suits your family. Get that full kitchen, get that washer dryer, free Wi-Fi, gym, everything, balconies, grills. I'm here in Palm Beach, Florida. I probably spend 2 months at my resort here on Stinger Island on the ocean. It has everything from pickleball, tennis. I go to the Aquafit to stay in shape for skiing, weight room, activities, yoga, you name it. And if you rent from an owner, you could stay there for less than Motel 6, and you're going to get every resort amenity possible. And just using that tool. And again, like you're the expert on points and miles. I'm sure you cover this in a lot of the meetings. If again, one other tip, get loyalty with a hotel. Whatever you decide, the major ones obviously are Hyatt, Marriott, and Hilton. I'm a Titanium Elite Lifetime member, Bonvoy member. So I stay at hotels. I get upgraded to suites, 4 o'clock checkout. And again, going to credit cards, as you know, I'm sure you told your audience, every hotel chain has its own credit card, Chase Bank, whatever. Uh, and you sign up for the credit cards, the big sign up bonus. You spend a $2,000 or $3,000, you're going to get 150,000, points, etc. right off the bat. Build up loyalty with the hotel brand, and then get upgraded to these suites, lounge suites where you're going to get free breakfast, free happy hour, and that's another trick when staying with hotels.
Yeah.
And same thing with credit cards. Just one quick tip before I forget. I try to leave the audience one immediate, actionable value trip. You don't have to spend on these credit card deals $3,000, $5,000. Every airline has its own credit card. And if we have American Express membership miles, you transfer your points to hotels, airlines, etc. But did you know? I think I told you, and if you already have this, Barclays Bank sponsors American Airlines Advantage credit card. And by going to this website, let your audience know this is $1,000 free tip from Coach Chris. MyAviatorCard.com. MyAviatorCard.com. Sign up for their Barclays Bank MasterCard. You got to use this code. You got it from Coach Chris. You can ask for a code 167839. 167. And you're going to get 70,000 American airline miles for one purchase. Buy a pack of gum. Fill up your car one time with the gas. Pay $99. And you get free baggage check-in, first bag for your entire traveling party. All your wife, your spouse, your kids. And in addition to that, you're going to get leverage in boarding. After first class, business class, you're going to board the next group that boards, so you're not fighting for that overhead compartment space. All that for buying one purchase, a pack of gum. So these deals are out there. The same thing. You go to Hawaii, Barclay Bank sponsors Hawaiian Airlines. You're going to get 60,000 Hawaiian Airlines on another credit card. Now you leverage this. You get a credit card. Your spouse gets a credit card. Your grown children, your business associates, and you're basically flying for free.
You're talking my language, and I can confirm that what Chris is saying is true because I have that exact credit card, and it helped fly us to Turks and Caicos round trip for free, to Scottsdale for free, as well as we have another flight that's coming up at the end of this year. So 3 trips paid for just by making one purchase. And the annual fee, when you say, is it worth it? Yes, because like what Chris just mentioned, you get that group 4 or 5 priority boarding. You don't, if you're bringing a carry-on, we bring only carry-ons, but if you bring a carry-on and a backpack, right, you aren't fighting for that. You're not having to check a bag. If you like to check bags, you get that for free. There's a $25 a year Wi-Fi credit, but that's all for spending $1.
Yeah,
And that's,
there's a way to go. Pick an airline. Like I said, there's a strategy when you
yeah.
travel. You got to think this out. If you're a Delta person, you live
Mhm.
near Atlanta, you fly Delta. Obviously, I had the Delta American Express card. I paid the 2,000. And how do you spend that? You don't have to be rich. I'm putting my property insurance, like $7,000. They take a credit card, so
Mhm.
I'm paying off these credit card minimum spends by just paying normal spending, property insurance, so that type of thing. And then another tip to take this one step further, if you're a business like we are, you get a personal card and a business card. Double your leverage and these sign up bonuses, etc. So that just be cognizant of what you can do. It's
Mhm.
all out there. It takes a plan and a lot of times some coaching from listening to your podcasts or hearing me speak in person to learn call them insider secrets. And this leads to a lifestyle of privilege and travel and leisure. It can be done affordably.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it better. And I mean, just case in point, I always like to just use personal experience, exactly what Chris is saying. If it's whether it's a personal card getting started out, it doesn't, you're not going to go at it and accomplish this overnight, right? You're going to learn from people who have done corporate travel, who have had a travel business, right? From shows like this, from other resources, from people like Chris speaking. But, this comes with, for me, 10 years of traveling personally and corporate with learning rewards, using cards like that, having other personal cards, working with your significant other and yourself with a strategy, understanding those things. And also if you are starting a business, I think a big misconception is you have to have this massive business to have a business card. No, if you have a property management, if you're starting a business, that's one thing. Like Chris mentioned, I had two business cards that was able to get those welcome offers that then was able to use, right? Both of those were 100,000, was able to use those. Two of those got us business class seats from Charlotte to Bangkok in Qatar Q suites, top rated business class. So that's just off those two. When you start to mix it, when you start to use other travel cards for everyday spending, those types of things, you start to learn transfer partners. You're a part of, like what Chris said, at minimum signing up for those rewards programs, the loyalty programs with the airlines that you fly, whether that's American out of Charlotte, Delta out of Atlanta, wherever your hub is, figuring that out. And then the main hotel ones, that's going to help you start to learn, okay, this is important, and that's going to help build on that. And if you travel for business, most of our audience is busy professionals. Like those are the small steps that'll help you learn how to do this, as well as listening to people like Chris and myself. So I couldn't agree more with what you said. And I think one thing I want to transition into, since we're talking about busy professionals, since we're talking about corporate travel, you've worked with companies on wellness initiatives. I think there's a huge issue nowadays with the loneliness epidemic, with burnout. People are hustle culture. People just feel like they're running themselves into the ground. But how do you feel like teaching different employees, just some of these strategies helps improve morale, reduce that burnout, and then just help the overall corporation on the bottom line standpoint?
Well, another excellent question. Yes, since COVID, people got stuck. They couldn't travel. Meetings were closed. Networking association meetings were closed. They couldn't travel. Heck, you got arrested. Supposedly, Fauci said if you had more than four for your Thanksgiving dinner. So it's so important. Travel and leisure studies have been made that they reduce stress, burnout. People are tired in jobs. They're worried about the economy, obviously, a divided country. And after they take that vacation to renew, like I say again, we all, no matter what stage we are in our life, mentally, physically, economically, we all as a society need to retreat, relax, renew, rejoice, and remember. And we can do that through travel and leisure. Now, you look at the US versus Europe. Here, studies have been made. The corporate people here don't even take their 2 weeks of vacation. They feel stressed out. They got to be tied to their job, etc. Whereas in Europe, they take 4 to 6 weeks vacation, right? It's encouraged by the employees, and there's less divorce, there's less stress, people are happier, they live longer, etc. And so I think corporations need to encourage their employees to take their time off. And especially today, like my son's an example, he works from home. I put him through Auburn University. Now he's a big shot. He worked for Price Waterhouse, 3 promotions. A headhunter came after him. And now he's a national auditor for a national company, a world company. And he flies into Australia, but then he leverages that since they're paying all his expenses, he's going to go to New Zealand. He has, again, a London office there. He's going to take side trips to Rome, Paris, Iceland. So, leveraging your corporate travel with personal travel, it can be done. Another way to serve the world, especially for people that that do travel for their business. They're entrepreneurs like I am. They're not tied to an office now. So there's a lot of tricks out there. Just pay attention to them. Again, gets one other thing. We talk about credit cards for flying. As maybe I'm sure many of your audience members know already, Chase Bank is tied with Southwest Airline. They have 6 different credit cards, business credit cards, personal credit cards, and after you accumulate, I think about 130,000 rapid reward points, which is their travel currency, you and a companion can fly free for 2 years just using the credit card. That's 2 people if you
Mhm.
time it right for doing that. So if you're in a city where Southwest meets your travel needs, it's a consideration. Look into the Southwest business and personal airline travel cards and accumulate those rapid reward points. Pay your car insurance, your homeowner's insurance, like I do. It adds up, and you're going to be flying with a companion for free. There's a woman, some experts. Families fly free. She's known as the travel gal. She specializes in this. She charges a yearly fee for this program to walk people through the scenario, how to acquire the family fly free program. But it's possible to do.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's one of a very good tip and trick. Southwest is not, we don't have a lot. I've looked into it from Charlotte, but we don't have a lot. I know when I was living up in the DC area, we would fly out of BWI because that was sometimes for places to fly on Southwest because it was cheaper flights. But that is a strategy that I know in the points and miles industry is well sought after. So it just comes back to, you brought up great points, Chris, just about just having a strategy, thinking about where maybe your where your home airport is, and then going from there. Yeah, so thanks again for all that valuable information, Chris. And for listeners out there, apologies for one of the technical difficulties. Chris's internet went down, so he was luckily able to call back in on the phone so we can make sure that we finish out the interview giving a few valuable tips. But one of the biggest challenges that I hear from travelers is when they're looking for things, they're like, oh, well, it's so expensive to travel during June, July, August, or spring break, some of the, you know, uh, busier seasons, right? So would love to hear just from your perspective, are there sweet spot windows, whether it's seasonally or just from an award release timelines perspective, when some of these places like Red Week, whether it's luxury hotels or just premium business class seats are easiest or cheapest to find?
Yes, well, during holiday periods, travel goes up. Supply and demand, they set their rates. So if you can travel, make some of these trips in the off season, you're better off doing it. Travel not in a holiday period, but in an off season. Look at regional airports. You might be better off flying for, driving. Like, for instance, I'm in West Palm Beach area. Sometimes it's a lot less expensive to fly from Fort Lauderdale. Be flexible is what I'm saying. If at all possible, be flexible with your dates, the times you travel, etc. As far as renting the vacation clubs or timeshares, obviously premium season, you're going to pay more. I mean, it's more valuable. You want to be in Vail during the ski season, not the mud season, etc. You want to be in New York City during the Christmas tree, Christmas time, so it's going to be more expensive. So where you could plan in advance and travel in the off season on an alternative airport, investigate that possibility to save money. And also with renting these vacation clubs, timeshares from owners, negotiate with the owner. They're hurting, they're struggling. Trust me, I'm in the business. I'm sitting next to them in the pool every other day talking to them. They're willing to sacrifice a lot of money just to get the place occupied. So negotiate with the owners, and you're going to be traveling really for pennies on the dollars. But be flexible in all your travel plans. And if you can do it in the off season and plan. The other thing is plan in advance. As far in advance, I book my ski trips a year in advance. I'm booked, I make that flight reservation as soon as I can. And that's another way to, beat the system.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what you said. I mean, it's just been a constant theme. What you said on the front end, right? Plan in advance, and that's one of my mottos: is make sure you plan in advance. Things may go wrong. There may be hiccups when you're on the trip, but if you plan in advance, you're going to set yourself up for the best opportunity to land these deals. Land cheaper flights, make the trip as best as possible. And that's great. That's a great insight, right? For being able to negotiate with owners. I think if you're in the real estate game, thinking about, right, when just like supply and demand, a lot of the times if someone's trying to get it off their hands, or interest rates are low or high, whatever that may be, like being able to negotiate. So think from it in that perspective, as well. And yeah, off-season travel, that's going to be very key. And whether it's driving to a nearby airport, doing a positioning flight to get a direct flight or a cheaper flight, like there's so many different strategies. But like you said, sometimes it's being flexible, and that's where you're going to find some of the best deals. And then I know something that nowadays loyalty programs, they keep devaluing some of their points, right? There's different dynamic pricing. I think you mentioned it earlier, just around inflation, right? It's gone up not only for the consumer dollar, but for travel especially. It used to be where you used an example earlier, 25,000 points round trip. Now it could go up to 50,000, right? And there's so many, it's a wide range. But are there any new tools, partnerships, or trends that excite you, that you kind of foresee in the next 3 to 5 years?
No, I think you just have to be a cognizant consumer like you do anything else when you're shopping for car insurance, home insurance, buying a house, interest rates. For instance, when you have miles, go to the website, check with flights, and might instead of flying maybe two legs, fly the third leg, and you're going to save 80% by flying a third leg. Is it worth it in savings? So do your due diligence. It takes time and effort. If you do want to save this money, especially now using your frequent flyer miles, like you said, alternative airports, and check variety, different dates. You're better off in the morning, an overnight flight, etc. It's a complex system, but put the effort in and you'll get rewarded.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Prime example, we just came back from a Key West wedding, and we could have taken the 3 o'clock flight, but instead we took the 6 a.m. flight, or the 8 a.m. We were up at 6 a.m. Took that earlier flight, but it was a lot cheaper, and we got home and had a full day. So it's just being flexible. Sometimes it might not be as great of the flight, but if you have different work things that you have to do, if you have different other things that you have to do, like just building that into your schedule, and being flexible. And wanted to round us out here, Chris, you talk about actionable steps, right? Actionable advice that people can start to use now. You've talked about a lot of great strategies, but what would be that first action step you want to give our audience to start traveling luxuriously without blowing their budget?
Again, plan in advance. Pick that destination you want to go to, either the wedding, the reunion, etc. Plan as far in advance as you can. Find out what airlines get you there. And then for accommodations, use that tool, that resource, RedWeek, and look at what vacation club properties are in that city, that resort area, and negotiate with owners. And that takes care of your accommodations to a big savings. But plan in advance. Pick the trip, the desired location, find out what airline takes you there, and then utilize RedWeek or the other one I mentioned, TUG, Timeshare Users Group, to rent your villa, your accommodations from an owner, get the full kitchen, the washer and dryer, the garage, all the luxury amenities. For, like I say, I'm not exaggerating, Motel 6 prices. It can be done. I've been doing it for 20 years.
I love it. Well, that's a great place to end us. But before I let you go, if our audience wants to connect with you, learn more from you, where's the best place that they can find you to do that?
Yeah, well, my website has a lot of information. I'm a professional speaker. So go to coachchrisspeaks.com. Of the information, I have a free discovery call, and I'm sort of tailoring my talks now to breakout sessions at association, a corporate meeting where people want to learn some of these insights and tricks, and I could be answer questions and answers. I also have a YouTube channel with some travel tips on my YouTube channel, Coach Chris Speaks. Search YouTube and you'll find me, etc. But the best way I could give your audience this is give me a call if they know of an association meeting they're a member of where they think my expertise would be of value to their membership. Hire me to speak, call me, we customize the presentation around their needs. So, most of the information, all my contact information is on the website, coachchrisspeaks.com.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. And to our listeners, we'll include all of those links that Chris just mentioned in the show notes. That way it's just easily clickable for you to go check him out. So Chris, really appreciate you coming on. This was great. And for our listeners, make sure if you found this valuable, you connect with Chris. Give us a 5-star review if you think we deserve it. That helps us reach more of our audience. Subscribe wherever you get it, whether that's Spotify, Apple, YouTube. That way you don't miss any of these valuable upcoming episodes. And if you are interested in points and miles, we do have a free cheat sheet that kind of breaks down and gets you started there, that you can check out on our website and within our show notes. And we also offer free one-on-one consultations for getting you started on your points and miles journey to outline how we can personalize your credit card strategy. So check those resources out. Leave us a comment, whichever way you'd like to connect, and really appreciate everyone tuning in. We will see you next week. And thanks again, Chris, for hopping on.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, Ross. We're all there to help our fellow people travel because you and I both know as travelers and using the points and miles, you don't have to be rich to live this rich luxury lifestyle. And after all, we travel not to escape life, but for life not to escape us. So enjoy those memories and experiences.
Yes. Couldn't end it better. Well, appreciate everyone tuning in, and thanks again, Chris. We'll catch everyone next week.